It's being recorded. It's record as of now.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Is that okay? Then if I use that as well, for my education, as it were.
No, go for it. Yeah.
I've been waiting for a time for that, so it's great. Thank you.
Sharing is caring.
Exactly. Okay, so this is our home screen, and I'm going to start off with, we're going to look very quickly at risk checks, and then we're going to get on to the heart of the compare piece, okay? So, very simply, to add a file, you'll see where my piece is here, I add a file. And I can either drag and drop, or I can add a file like this. It will go to my documents, and I want to add, which one I'm going to add. Let me go down here a bit. And I'm going to add this file here. So I run a risk check, as simple as that. I choose a profile, and we'll come back to that. So we have 67 rules in the box. We'll talk about that soon. I can look at, basically I'm trying to identify poor spreadsheet design, poor spreadsheet practice in some shape or form, or indeed looking for GDPR data as an example. I'm just going to choose one of those, so I'm going to choose all system rules, and I can either assign that to my own folder, or if I'm working in a team, I'm working at the partner demo team, or multiple teams, I can assign it to that team as well, so I can just decide where this lands, okay? And I literally, I've got a password, I put it in, hit save, and I can put 100 files in like that at the same time and just sit there and done. So you'll see sitting down below here that it's queued, and if I do a little refresh here, it will cycle around certainly within a minute. So it's nearly done. And I'm not going to go into that particular one because I've got one I've made earlier, but I am going to, let me look at the January one because I just know who it is. So sitting across here is, I've got the status of what I've found. So it's detected that I've got some rules that have been broken, a couple of macro rules. There's no links broken, there's no worksheet rules broken, and so forth. And I've got some cell rules broken. I've run it against a particular profile, and we'll look at that profile in a second. And that's given me a flag of high, and I've talked about that as well on a score. So let's look at what that profile is, and I'm being super quick here because of our time. So this profile here is that it's got within that I'm looking for these particular things out of the 65. I can add more to it, as you can see here. I can weight these, so if I think macros are very important, I can change the weighting. And if I wanted to, if I said it very hidden worksheets were very important, I can change the scoring to be high automatically. So I can see this is really important to me. Okay?
Yep.
So I'm not going to do all that. But that's sort of that piece there. So let's go back a little bit. And I'm going to go back to the profiles. And you can see all these profiles here, and I can direct people to look at different profiles for different things. Okay?
Yep.
It's very good for when you inherit files from a client, or you're trying to find fault with their files. I can also set the categories, and so let me have a look at the categories here. The categories are driving this, whether it's high, medium, or low, by the score. I can change these and make, I can make high as 1 if I wanted to. And I may want to do that for something like GDPR, where if it's got anything in it at all, I want to be as high. There's no medium, low, or anything. Making sense?
Yep, that's all fine. Yep.
So let's go back here, and I'm going to go back to the home screen. Scroll down a little bit, and so I'm still in the same piece here. I've determined that in January that it was high. We saw that there. It's created that score, so I've explained a little bit about the score and the risk categories here. But I'm actually going to go and look at the file, so I can download the file here. And to save time a little bit, here it is, that I've set up earlier. So it's telling me what things have gone wrong. So this is the summary sheet here. This is all done within the minute of processing.
Yeah.
It's telling me what's in this spreadsheet here. I can look at the rules description. So if you see with my hyperlink here, I just go to the hyperlink. It's telling me the rules, the description, whether I change the weightings here, whether I put some default height categories and so forth. So they're just, if I had all rules in there, I'd see all rules. If I go back to the summary, I can look at what aspects have changed within the workbook. So we see here that there's some macros gone in here. The macro does not use the option. So let's have a look at the on error resume next. And it tells me where this is done and what line number that is happening as well. So it's telling me things, it's just finding things for me very, very quickly across the whole workbook.
Yep.
Okay. And this is nothing different from what Ralph was doing before. We just package it in a different way. And the last thing is I can then look at the cell rules as well. So I'm looking at various cell rules that have broken here, as you can see, and I can go drill through to the summary worksheet, to the sheets if I want, and actually look at how they are broken and where they are. I don't know why it's not going through. It should do. And it will actually look at where this is broken on here, so you'll see various things have been changed, and I can actually then drill through to the original workbook to see how that rule was broken. So it's a way of assessing multiple spreadsheets very, very quickly, and I'm sure you do some of those things yourself. You know, in the role that you do, it's a very typical thing. We just package it up very quickly, enables you to quickly review that, look at 100 spreadsheets from the client, and actually come back around and say, these are the 5 that I think are of interest.
Okay.
So that was a real scoot through that, but that is what that piece is about. It's very helpful for our partners to find projects, if you will.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess just some initial quick fire questions in terms of, so if I were to, for argument's sake, upload, say, 20 different project models, and they range in size between 2 or 3 megabytes up to 80 megabytes, new money, so the XLSX type file format, and then said, okay, off you go, run these tests against that suite of files. Yep. Have you guys done some performance kind of testing and to see, you know, how quickly does it do that, et cetera, et cetera?
So run a 5 megabyte file would run in probably somewhere between 30 seconds and a minute, something like that.
Okay.
We do actually reach a limit, and it's actually not our limit. It's a limit. It's a bug actually within ASP.NET at the moment that we get to 28 meg, and we can't load any more than that at the moment. Microsoft said they're going to fix it, but they haven't yet. But we can. But if you said, you know, a couple of minutes to do a file, that's how long it takes.
Okay, fine. All right. So yeah, so from the looks of it, you can kind of tweak and define and customize the tests and what the profile includes and doesn't include in terms of the types of tests. So that's all fine. You can point it at particular directories and everything within it, and then kick it off. It's all good. How does it kind of report against the portfolio as a whole, or just on a file by file basis? I.e., does it aggregate up or kind of?
So it's a little bit of complex calculation. So it's looking for how many times, say, a macro has been broken, and it will do a count of that. It will look at a count of how many cells are in that spreadsheet. So if there were 5 breaks in 100, it will give a score of 5, assuming the weighting was 1. Okay. If it was 5 in 10,000, it would vary, but you may change the weighting. It's giving you just really a percentage calculation of overall, which is why you sort of have to understand how you want to manage that and what you want to do. And you can tweak it around all sorts of shapes and forms.
Okay, fine.
We do actually provide this as something that you can download. So we have a reporting piece here. And if I just quickly run this here, it will produce a report of everything that I've run, as you can see, in the last 30 days. Come on, come on. And I can sift and sort this in all sorts of shapes and forms. So I can look at, do I look at macros, VBA? Do I look at data? What metrics am I interested in?
Yeah.
And I can download this either an Excel file, PDF, Word. So I can either send it to the client, or I can put it into Excel and manipulate it to my heart's content.
Okay, cool. All right, that's good.
Okay. So I'm going to go back over to here. So that was really all I was going to cover on that piece there. So then I'm going to go and look now at interest for yourself is around this. This is now comparing two files. Track changes, whatever you want to call it, but we are doing track changes between version 1 and version 2 or whatever of a file. So I'm going to focus on this cell in a container. So you'll see that they're all the same file. And it's each every straight to June. So what have I got across here? So again, same sort of thing. I've got some sheets changed, and I've got some other aspects. I've got some commentary on it, so and we'll look at what that means and whether it's been reviewed and approved. I simply click on that piece there, and this takes me to my dashboard, which is my counts. So it's telling me that the macro has changed, 4 worksheets have changed. I've got some worksheet links and some external links. See down here, changes in 108. Look at the matter. It's picked up here that there's been a change that has changed and been replaced by this. So 11 has been replaced by 12. So it will highlight that. That's a red because it's been deleted. This is a green here because it's been added. And it's also detected this green here. I can make a comment. Sorry?
So I just put it on mute because.
So I can say all good here, and just document it here and say it's all good. Create that commentary. If I had a query about it, I could raise a query to my colleague or to my client. But I'm now capturing this here. We'll see where that gets picked up later on. You'll notice now, because it's a documentation, I'll put this little green flag up in the corner.
Yep.
If I want to look at worksheets, it's telling me that 4 worksheets have been added. So that's quite interesting. The model was obviously evolving. These 4 were being added. I can look at this in a different way by looking at worksheet links. And the worksheet links is now showing me all the connections within the workbook. So it's looking around. I can drag this around and play around with this. I can look at this in a slightly different way if I wanted to. So if I wanted to have a conversation just about Europe, I can just click on Europe, and temporarily it removes all the other pieces. And as you see, if I hover over that, it's telling me what cell changes have been made within that as well.
Okay.
If I want to get the model back, I click on the model back, and then I can do the same, for example, with South America, and I'll just look at South America. So I can talk through quite a complex model with my client and work out where that is.
Yep.
Okay, is that useful?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
So let's go and have a look at cell changes. So what we have over here is a mini map. This is a rendition of the worksheet. It can be n rows, y, n rows, automatic. It's still rendered into this space here.
Yep.
So the fact that there's 20 here doesn't matter. These aspects here are telling me that these areas are the 3 areas that we have determined using our algorithms and our experience over the last 10 years or so, that these are the areas that were compared. There's more data on this sheet than just these areas. And we're telling you that the light areas are the ones reviewed and the dark areas are where those changes have been made. So there has been a change. The red is telling me what cell I'm currently reviewing, which is actually shown down here with the functionality. Okay?
Okay, yep.
I can remove all the recalcs by doing a control click, and I get rid of all the recalcs on that sheet. So now I'm looking at, I've clearly got a row deleted, which we can see here, and we can investigate that further. And I've had some other cells deleted, which are clearly over here. At any point, I can reset this and go back again. So I want to look at where a particular unique formula is, and look at that, and actually double click on the red, and it will take me down into the sheet below. And here, it's looking at the variance of that way. Okay.
That's good.
At any point, I can hover over these things and by many again on my rules on my agenda as well. So I can use this again with the edits up here. I can edit as I go, capture those changes and do a review process. So I'm happy with the changes. I can say I've reviewed this area, I'm good with this, or I can raise a query on it. So if I wanted to raise a query, I say, okay, I'm going to create a query. Why was this row deleted? And we're going to save that. Sorry, forgot to save that. Okay. And we'll pick up on that later. So what I've got here is if you're using any other sort of tools or sort of tracking type projects, you're trying to look at how the spreadsheet has changed. Has the cells moved? Has it been resorted? We will pick up all those things. So if it does a resort, we will still track that cell. If it actually does a row's been inserted, a column's been inserted and so forth, or deleted, we will pick that up. Enable you to filter this using the filters over here.
Okay, yep.
I'm stepping through this quite slowly, Denver, and just to make sure we grasp where we are, because it's slightly different. We're looking at a spreadsheet review. We're using this as a dashboard approach to try and provide information to you. It may be that you usually say, well, you know what, I don't really agree that the way it's interpreted is correct. Correct and not majority, but on occasion, because somebody doesn't win with Excel, we don't get it. So we have this function here called recompare. What recompare does is enables me to actually say, well, I'm going to recompare this in perspective. I can identify 2 different ranges on either sheet, and if I just click this here, you can specify range 1 and range 2. This is not going to leave it.
Yeah.
And what it's doing is taking the whole sheet now as my area to recompare, and you're getting a slightly different result. So you're not tweak it for particular you think it should be comparing and save that, or talk here, or go back and see here back to my original compare. So it's a way of help guiding you through the review process, but also to put your own expertise in place as well.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Questions before I go up, because a couple of things are making, you know.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess it's the background of having or performing that comparison. I guess in our experience. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, it's been a long day. In our experience, yeah, there's some things that are reasonably straightforward to assess, and there are others that are less so. How much does, like, when you did that recompare thing, does it allow you to kind of walk through a workbook and where it may have a bunch of false positives, but it hasn't quite worked out that actually a big block of rows got inserted and it's somehow missed that, and so you're gonna kind of work it down and be able to tell it. Actually, see, I can eyeball this and see it, because sometimes humans can do that better than algorithms can. When a key pattern is there, you know, but not obvious, and so you can go about kind of interacting with stroke, helping it to improve the quality of that comparison, such that it doesn't come up with a bunch of false positives, etc. Now, it may well be you've done this so damn well that you don't ever have those problems, but my experience with comparison tools suggests that it's not quite so straightforward.
So I think you're absolutely right. We have done it very damn well, though. So we've reduced that noise quite a bit. So there's a couple of ways we can do that. You can actually focus on things like this, looking where the formula are and where those unique formula changes, because they often drive a lot of the behavior. The opposite way is also to, if I reset the filters here, I can also step through here at the top, where it's going to walk me through those critical changes. So if you look here, it's not only giving me where I am, but if you look at this comment here over here, it's telling me what happened in that particular area. So it's giving me commentary of why we've chosen the area and what we're doing with that.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And you can go ahead.
I was just going to say, can you tell it, actually, you've got it wrong, it's not this, it's something else?
And that's the point where you go, okay, you've got this wrong, and that's when you do the recompare piece.
Okay. I see. Okay.
So now you're setting a different parameter for it.
Okay, fine. No, I understand. All right, that's good. Now, in terms of documentation, I mean, this speaks to kind of some aspects of what we do as model audit work. How would this support and/or assist, or how does Cluster 7's kind of product set support and/or assist effectively a model auditor's view of the world and/or their clients, whereby you have a process to go through, you need to document the work you've done and the conclusions you've come to, and/or queries and the responses to those queries, etc. Does this support that in any way?
Yes, it does. So the first thing here is, let me just reset the filters here again. So you'll see here on the commentary, I'm now looking at all the cells that have got comments on, and I can look whether they're commented or uncommented. So hopefully by the end of it, you've done a complete review of that sheet. But I can also look up, so remember I was beginning to add comments and queries in. I hit on the review here, and now I'm beginning to get my review trail. So these have been documented. They've just been documented as, they're just recalc, so I'm not worried about it. I raised a query here. I can actually view that thread and go back to where that was changed, what was it, and I can go back to the cell itself if I so wanted to. So I'm creating now a audit trail of these. Everything was reviewed. Here are my queries, and I can filter on these up here as well. So I can review updates only, I can look at, do I want to look at commentary only? What do I want to look at? So this is providing me my review mechanism, which maybe a junior has done for you, or you're doing on behalf of a client, and then by actually having an approval process as well, you can then look at a review and approval and say, okay, this has all been captured and done.
Okay, cool.
So if I went into here and said all these changes are okay, and complete review, you'll see that the review has gone green. I've got a green mark here, that's my checkpoint, and I can actually now go to review, and the review can be done.
Okay. All right. Yeah, interesting.
So I'm conscious 39 minutes in, but
yeah, no, you've done well. Is there anything else you want to dive into quickly before we?
No, I'm not going to dive in. The same thing, we do the same thing with VBA, data connections, links, and things like that. So all these things are menus up here.
Okay.
But I'm going to go all the way back here. So you've seen that piece. So here we are back at the top level. These are all projects, files, containers, whatever word you want to do. This is showing the people here. And to add another file is exactly the same process as I did before. I just add a file up here as I showed at the beginning, but I add it to one of these projects.
Perfect. Okay. I guess before we kind of sort of break off, and then we can kind of reconvene at a future point. I guess it would be interesting to know. So yeah, this looks very interesting. Have you guys kind of got much in the way of reference point sort of use case examples and or case studies that might be useful in understanding how your clients have been using this, both I guess in the context of the end client, but also potentially in the context of how the white labeling example that you kind of talked to. That's one thing. I guess rather cheekily, who else in the modeling landscape are you guys kind of partnering up with, and kind of what's the nature of those sorts of arrangements? And then thirdly, what kind of pricing model are you tending to use, and how does that sort of look and feel in reality?
Okay. So yes, we have a number of clients and lots of use cases, whether it's being used for looking at tax type computations, whether it's being done for insurance models, whether it's being done for GDPR, as I've said, internal audit, data modeling. So that takes me on to the second point. So Morten Sisted from F1, F9, he spoke at Model Off with me. So we talked about using this. He's an active user of this. If you talk to Morten, he'll talk about, if you know him, chat to him. I'll see. Otherwise, I'll see if he'll talk to you. He's a great fan of what we're doing. He believes
I know Morten very well.
There you go. Well, go and have a chat with him. I'm sure he'll say very nice things about it. If not, I'm a bit worried. But so that's one example. We have some of the bigger players in the market who are either in the middle of evaluation or are actually using it, and they're looking at it in two different ways. And as is Morten, they're looking at it to improve their internal review, and they all use other desktop tools and everything else, and we can name names later. But actually, we do this quicker and faster than those approaches. So it's to do collaboration, particularly across long distances, like his team in India. But also, so that's the first part. The second part is actually then to introduce it into clients, so that clients get the model, they can stay with it, or they can send the model back with commentary. It's also, we haven't got to this point, is somebody 3 months, 6 months later says, oh, could you update this model for me? Manchester Airport or whatever it happens to be, and they send it back to you and say, well, hang about, the model's changed from what we sent to you, and they said, no, it hasn't, and this would show immediately what has been changed in that model. So you can use it with clients as a service. So you can people what are doing is they're wrapping services around it. So we charge a fee to you, you wrap it as a service delivery, both technology and your time, and say for X per month, you'll have access to this technology in some shape or form.
Okay.
The way we charge for it is on a transaction basis. So every risk check, every compare consumes Azure resources. So we host this on Azure. It's actually hosted by Microsoft itself as well. The two are separate. And so they have a stack of accreditations, as do we. So we're ISO 27001 and ISAE 3402. So we've got all the badges that a Boy Scout needs for this. And that enables us to then, we can then present this as Numeritus's own product. So we can badge it that way. And you can present it to your clients as your product, albeit we're providing electricity, you're providing the plug and socket.
Okay. All right. No, that's fair enough. Okay, I think that's been a good kind of starting point for the conversation. I think what would be good, I would see as being sort of next steps would be kind of covering off any additional points in terms of demonstrating functionality that you may or may not have shown us. How does the discovery and the spider kind of toolkits or tools factor into this sort of universe? Are they separate standalone products? Are they embedded within the web kind of application that you've rebuilt? How is that all?
So the Discovery Spider piece needs access to the network, and therefore they in themselves have remained as network tools. What you've shown, when I started showing the worksheet links, I didn't show you the external links. We're showing how various workbooks and things are connecting together. We will shortly add that to the risk check side as well. So when you bring a risk check file over, we'll show how that same model appears within a risk check file as well, an inherited file. So we're using that technology to connect those pieces up. To actually do the spider crawl, that has to go onto the server, and you need access to files as well. Okay. And I'm conscious of time. So the thing that I'm delighted to have another conversation. So thank you, and I hope it's been useful. If you want, go to our website. It says try it for free, and you can try it for free. Okay. You don't have to do it now. If there's just some basic T's and C's to sign up to. You can put your own files through. We know you're processing. We can. Okay. So we can run it that way.
All right. Okay. Good. Well, thank you very much for your time, and I guess let's try and sort of catch up, at least to sort of sense check where we are and what next steps might be, perhaps sort of back end of next week. I've got a bit of a hectic Monday through Thursday, but probably a little bit more to have a catch up. Maybe just text me, stick a note in your diary to harass me sort of the back end of next week, and then we take it from there. All right.
I trust that was useful.
It was, and it would be useful to get that sort of reporting. I want to share it with one of my colleagues who this is coming to. And get him to have a look at it. All right.
Okay. Cool.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you very much.
Take care.